Okay, here's my 5 reasons why DevOps tools are not helping the DevOps process. Number one, they take too long to deploy, which is really weird because when we're told about how we need software to happen faster, quicker, more agile, etc., and back in the day, it was like, oh, well, we can't have 3-year development cycles. We've got to have 3 months. We've got to have 3 days. We've got to be really, really fast. But when you look at how long it's taking to deploy CI/CD tools, for example, it's literally taking 3 years, which is a bit of an irony, let's face it. Number two, they're still being sold as magic bullets. Now, just about every single solution oriented webinar that I watch, or the website that I go to, or vendor that I speak to says, yeah, we've finally found the answer. The answer is there is no answer. It's not as simple as that. The way that tools work is they have to support rather than providing some kind of secret sauce that's going to make everything perfect. And as long as they're being sold as something that is going to in some way be transformative, ultimately that's never going to work out. The third thing is that new ones appear all the time, and there's a good reason for this. This is because out there, outside of vendor space, there you are, you're a programmer, you're an engineer, you're working in a really complex environment, you come up with a great idea and you go, oh my goodness, we're going to solve this. We're going to sort out the way that our organization is failing. And you'd be absolutely right to do that. It's brilliant. But then you get a bit of funding, you get some Series A or whatever, you get a nice marketing thing, and you say, hey, let's set this up as a business. And suddenly another DevOps tool appears. And we're seeing this again and again and again. And they're all different sides up the same mountain. They're all good. They're all solving a great problem. But it just adds to the complexity. It doesn't resolve it. Now, number 4 is that they are generally sold without controls. So what do I mean by controls? I mean management thinking approaches, the way that the tool should be used so to get the best value out of it. And yeah, sure, we can put a little framework around something and say, well, this is what the numbers mean. But generally, organizations are already working with much bigger frameworks. So how does this particular tool fit into that bigger framework of all the different approaches that are in use, the project management approaches? Is it safe, agile? What's it following? And without those things, it's going to require more thinking in order to deliver on what the tool can do. Finally, number 5 is that they're sold to and bought by engineers. What this means is that they're generally bought strategically in the head of an engineering person, but not necessarily strategic in terms of the organization. So one team may have a certain need, they're going to buy a certain tool. Another team may have a different need, they're going to buy a similar but different tool. So you've now got 2 tools that do a similar thing, but in a slightly different way. And then what you end up with is having to make the 2 work together. And suddenly you're spending effort which could otherwise be spent on tooling, just getting the tooling to work together. And that's not necessarily even at the team level, it's at the management level. Oh, we've got to take input from these 2 different tools now. And it's not just 2, is it? It's 3, 5, 10, 100,000 tools that all end up being used in different ways. And even if they're using the same tools, they're not necessarily being used in the same ways with the same configurations. So all of that causes problems. And so that the approach much better is to start from top down. All of these issues can be summarized as strategic tools, i.e. tools that we need to think about strategically, but they're being bought, they're being implemented, deployed, used, configured, etc. tactically. And so all we have to do, it's not as simple as that, obviously, is flip that to think of, sure, we maybe have tactical tools, but we've got to deploy them strategically. Even if we're just doing it within a team, it needs to be much broader than simply going, oh, well, it's just for us, isn't it? Because that's never going to be true. So I do kind of think that there's an ultimate goal here, which is that we're all software businesses these days. We're not trying to just write software as a separate little thing that we do to our bigger organization. All organizations are software businesses, and therefore we're all in the manufacturing game. And you wouldn't build a manufacturing system by having a little bit over here, a little bit over there. What you would do is consider it in the round and think about the way that all the different pieces needed to fit together. And that means working from a much higher level downwards in terms of mapping out that software supply chain within your organization and not leaving it all in the hands of engineers. Super smart people, great guys, used to be one, fantastic. But that doesn't mean that they've got an overview of the entire organization or necessarily are being judged on it, marked on it, driven by it. So we have to think about how we're going to be addressing the needs of software, not from the point of view of the kind of from the middle up, out, but from the top down. And then maybe the tooling that we consider, that we use, that we buy, that we deploy is going to be usable in a more strategic way.